Hello, I'm Meredith from Kitchen to Table in Yamba, and today we're making one of my all-time Easter favourites, hot cross buns. Now, of course you can buy these at your favourite bakery, but where's the fun in that? I say give them a go at home. They're really easy, especially if you have one of these stand mixers. That will make the job even easier. Let's get started. What we need to do first is activate our yeast. So what I've got here in my bowl is 14 grams of instant yeast that's readily available in the supermarket, and what we're going to do is add 1/3 cup of local honey. Now yeast needs sugar to feed on, so in this case we're using the local honey, which will feed the yeast and also sweeten our buns. And then we're going to add some milk to this mixture as well. So in with the honey. And I've just got some milk that's warmed here on the stove. Yeast likes a warm environment around 25 to 28 degrees Celsius. And that's when it gets its most active. So I've just warmed this milk just so it's lukewarm. If you just dip your finger in, it just should feel warm, not too hot. If it's too hot, it will have the adverse effect and kill the yeast. So just nice and warm. And add that in. And give it a whisk, and then we're going to set that aside until it's bubbling and foamy, and that will indicate to us that the yeast is alive and it's going to ensure our buns rise. So just give that a whisk to combine the honey and the yeast and the milk. Okay, so that's that job done. We'll just set that aside for a few minutes. Another job to do at this early stage is just to soak our sultanas in some orange juice and orange zest, and this will plump up the sultanas or the dried fruit that you're using and give it a lovely citrus flavour. To a bowl we're going to add the zest of an orange. Okay, so just run the zester over the outside of the orange, and that is collecting all the beautiful zest in the channel there. Just tap that into your bowl. And then we're going to take the juice of this orange. And we've got our sultanas to pop in the bowl. So pop those in. So you want about 250 grams of dried fruit. I like a combination of sultanas and currants. So we'll take the juice from this orange and just add that to the sultanas. I'm just going to strain that juice through my fingers just to hold back any pips. And then simply give that a stir. They can sit aside just while the yeast is getting ready and we're preparing the rest of our dough. Okay, so we're ready now to put our dough together. We've got our yeast here that's become lovely and creamy on top. There's a few little bubbles starting to form, so we know that our yeast is active and it's going to do the job. Our other ingredients for this recipe are 600 grams of plain flour. So if you like, you can just use standard plain flour that you have in your pantry. You can also look for a bread flour, which just gives you better structure. It's got a higher protein level, and the higher protein gives you stronger gluten strands, which then give you, better structure to your doughs. However, if you just have plain flour at home, that works perfectly fine. So I'm all about using what you have to hand. We've got some lovely spices here. Now, I love spices, and I love my fruit hot cross buns to have a lovely spice note about them. So I'm using this fragrant sweet spices by Herbie Spices. It's one of my favourite sweet baking spices. It's got a combination of coriander, cassia, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, poppy seeds, cloves, cardamom and rose petals. It's a really exotic little mix, and it just adds a beautiful flavour to any baked goods. I'm just also adding another 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon just to sort of bring forth that cinnamon flavour, which is reminiscent of the spiced buns. So 3 teaspoons of the fragrant sweet spice and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I've also got 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which will just bring out the flavours in the dough. I've got an egg and some melted butter, which will enrich in the dough. And then of course we've got our soaked dried fruits that have been soaking in the orange juice. So it's as simple as adding all of these ingredients to the bowl. So I'm going to add in here the flour, 600 grams. I'm going to add my 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to pop in my spices, and I'm just going to give that a quick little mix just to incorporate everything. And then I'm going to go in with the liquid ingredients. So make a little well in the middle there. Add in the egg. Got our activated yeast. Going to do the job. Just going to scrape the rest of that into the bowl. Then in with the melted butter. So once we've got all that together, we'll add in our sultanas next. Okay, so just lift that up, pop in the sultanas and their juice. You'll see that I'm using the beater attachment at this stage. I find it's really efficient to bring the dough together, and then we're going to switch over to the dough hook, which will need our dough. Okay, so once the mixture has come together like this and all the flour and ingredients are incorporated, just switch over to the dough hook. So that will go down just on low speed, as I said, for about 7 to 10 minutes. And we'll come back when that's done. Our dough's been kneading now for about 7 minutes or so, and we're just going to test that it's lovely and elastic. So how we do that, we take a little piece of dough and just roll it in a ball, and then just tease it out. And what we want is for the dough to stay together, not to pull, and that we can create a lovely translucent window there. And then we know that our dough has been worked enough, and that the gluten's been developed, and that we're going to get a really beautiful bun. So now it's time for the dough to have a rest. So we're going to bring that off the hook, and we might just pop a little bit of oil in the bowl just so that the dough doesn't stick to it. And we're just going to cover that and pop it in a warm spot for an hour or so until it doubles in size. Just going to use my hands here just to oil the dough, oil the bowl. And then, as I said, we're going to pop that aside in a warm spot for at least an hour. So if it's a cool day, it's going to take longer to prove. If it's a warm day, things will happen a bit quicker. So you just need to use your eyes and your intuition to watch the dough. I'm going to cover that up and set that aside. In the meantime, can have a cup of tea or go and do some chores around the house, or go and put my feet up. All right, see you soon. Okay, so we're back after our resting time, and our dough has well and truly doubled in size. So here it is here. What we need to do now is to punch it down and let all the air escape. And I'm just going to pull it out of the bowl. And we've got this lovely supple dough now. I'm just going to roll it into a log so that we can divide it evenly, or you can use a set of scales to do this job as well. And we probably will get about 15 or so buns out of this dough. Okay, so I'll divide it in half. Hey, and now it's just a matter of forming the dough balls into balls and putting them onto a tray. So we'll do that now, and you can either flatten it out into a round and then fold the circle around and then give it a little twist on the bench so that you get this nice round shape like that, and just pop it on the prepared tray and just give it space in between, because these are going to swell up again with their second prove. So just bear that in mind, that they do need a little bit of extra, they need a bit of space around them. Don't cramp them up too much. And so once again, just form it out into a circle, fold the edges back into the center, and then give it a little twirl on the bench, just with your hands kind of in a claw shape, and you'll feel the bowl of dough coming up into the palm of your hand there. So once you've got that, once again, pop it on the tray, a little bit of space in between, and I'll carry on doing the rest of these and we'll come back when the tray's all done. Our 12 buns on this tray. And the next job to do is just to cover that in a towel, put them aside, let them have another proof for 30 to 40 minutes or so, till they're nice and swollen, and then we're going to pipe our crosses on top. Here we are again, ready to make the next step, which is the flour paste to make our crosses on the hot cross buns. So what you'll need for that is 80 grams of plain flour. We've got a little bit of sugar just to sweeten up that mixture, and then some water to make the paste. So in we go, sugar into there, water in. I'll add most of it, I'll hold a little back just in case we don't need it all. And I guess you want a texture similar to toothpaste so that when you pipe it out, it holds its form and yeah, leaves a lovely line across the top of the buns. Just give that a good stir, remove all the lumps. We're going to pop this into a piping bag. So just sort of got this dropping consistency like this. We'll set that aside until the buns are ready to be piped. Okay, so our dough has had its second proof and our buns are beautifully plump now. And so one of the next things we need to do is pipe the crosses on top. So here is our flour mixture that we made earlier, and we're just going to snip off the tip of the bag. Now just push the mixture down to the end of the bag, just applying pressure by twisting at the top here, and we're going to use the palm of our hand here as a bit of pressure along with the fingers around the top. But what you want to do is keep that mixture staying at the bottom, and when we pipe we want to try and maintain a continuous strip rather than just doing one bun at a time. We're going to go down one row, down the next row, etc., so that it remains continuous. So just a little bit of light pressure and then come in down the dip. Here we go again, and as you can see I've maintained one strip of paste. So we'll go down the next line. Now it's important at this stage too to have your oven preheating to 200 degrees Celsius so that when the buns hit the oven they get into a nice hot environment. So now we're going to go across the other way. So once again, the same technique. Okay, so it's time for those to go into the oven. They're going to go in at 200 degrees Celsius, probably for about 25 minutes or so until they're golden brown. So let's get those in the oven. Be back in a moment. Okay, and the last element to our buns is the glaze. So the glaze gets brushed on once the buns come out of the oven, gives them that lovely little sticky feel and gloss as well. So really simple. I've got some more honey here and a couple of tablespoons. I've got half a teaspoon of cinnamon, which will just flavour that glaze, and I've got a couple of tablespoons of boiling water. And what we're wanting to do is just create a consistency here that we can brush over the buns. So just mix all that together and set it aside until the buns come out of the oven. Okay, so our gorgeous buns are out of the oven now. They're golden brown, springy to the touch. They feel hollow, which gives us an indication that they're beautifully cooked. So the final step is to glaze these gorgeous buns. So the honey, water, cinnamon glaze that we prepared a short while ago, we are now going to just brush this onto the buns to give them that final shine. All that's left to do is enjoy one with some delicious butter and a cup of tea, and we are set for Easter. So I'm going to open up one of these lovely buns. That beautiful texture inside. They smell so lovely and spicy, and we'll just give them a try. So delicious. Quite easy. It's just a little process that you need to work through. I urge you to give these a go this Easter. Have fun with your baking. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye.